inside the RX Muscle Studios in Westbury, New York for another episode of Ask Dave, better known as hashtag Ask Dave. I'm your host, Sadiq Faruqi. Glad you can join us on this Thursday afternoon, a very busy time in this industry, and especially for Species Nutrition, the sponsor of Ask Dave here on rxmuscle.com. The Arnold Sports Festival, hard to believe, is only 1 week away. The Species Nutrition booth is going to be located at booth 709. If you're going to be at the Arnold, we are going to have a special treat for you. On a Sunday, time to be determined, we are going to have a live version of Ask Dave at the Species Nutrition booth. Once again, booth 709, as you see on the bottom portion of your screen. We're gonna have you are gonna have a chance to ask Dave your questions live in front of the crowd that we are going to generate in front of the Species Nutrition booth. Programming reminder: tomorrow night we're gonna have a special episode of The Fitness View. It is going to be The Fitness View meets Iron Debate. So essentially we are going to have a show based on the Iron Debate format, but with the women of rxmuscle.com on The Fitness View. That is tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Monday, a mega broadcast. We are going to have a special episode of Heavy Muscle TV previewing the 2015 Arnold Sports Festival. Right now we have confirmed Jason Poston and Sadiq Hadzovic, two of the top men's IFBB physique pros in the world. We have Jose Raymond confirmed as well. Chris, the technician Aceto, is going to be joining Dave Palumbo for analysis on all the different divisions in the competition. So you're not going to want to miss out on that as we bring in Dave Palumbo. Dave, a lot going on right now in the industry. The big night. Everyone should have it circled on their calendar. Monday night, big time broadcast here on rxmuscle.com.
Well, the rest and recovery is over, and the contest season is upon us, Sid. And this is Arnold Week coming up. So Arnold Week is always busy. Obviously, we start off the week with the obviously muscle in the morning. Then we go to at night. We're going to have two things really going on, Sid, because the Heavy Muscle radio show, which I taped the day before, will be up. And, of course, Heavy Muscle television will be up. So you'll get a double dose of myself and Chris Aceto and all our analysis of the upcoming Arnold Classic and all the gossip of the day and all the other science stuff that we like to talk about. But, yeah, I'm excited. I know Jason and Sadiq have to be the two favorites going into the men's physique, or the first ever men's physique Arnold International. And it'll be interesting to see what these guys have to say and who thinks who's going to win. I am not going to go on record as saying who I think is going to win because I like both of those guys, and I haven't decided. They're so close.
So a lot to look forward to. And then, of course, at the Arnold Sports Festival, rxmuscle.com has you covered, wall-to-wall coverage. Thursday night, Dave, we are going to have the preview show. Why don't you tell the fans a little bit more about it?
Well, every Thursday night for the last 3 years, we've done the Arnold pregame show right from the venue. Last year was obviously at Veterans Memorial. They closed Veterans Memorial. There's a new venue in the convention center now. We will have our booth set up there. And I didn't even tell you, Sid, we have some surprises coming on that broadcast. Obviously, myself, Chris Aceto will be there. You will be previewing, obviously, the Arnold there. We'll be pulling athletes on. You never know who might show up. I'm sure Sean Roden is going to come by. Maybe we'll even get Cedric McMillan, the new shadow, to show up. And Greg Valentino will be in Columbus, Ohio, and he will be stopping by the table, and he will be giving his predictions and talking to us about what he wants to do and what he will be doing with his cohort, Joe Pietaro, over in Columbus, Ohio. So that's going to be an exciting day.
So keep it locked to rxmuscle.com for details on this upcoming week. As we now get to the questions, again, if you want to join in, you can tweet your questions using hashtag AskDave. You can ask your question on the Muscle Central Forum on rxmuscle.com. If you're not already a member, it is free to register. Instagram.com official_RxMuscle or on the official RX Muscle Facebook page. Dave, we start off with the Instagram page. This question from Brooks Personal Training. I noticed Sadiq Hadzovic is posting more actual bodybuilding poses versus men's physique poses. My question is, do you think he'll ever switch over to men's bodybuilding, especially if he never wins the Physique Olympia? He seems to be growing every year and posting more and more bodybuilding pics as to almost be giving us a hint of the future.
Well, let's face it, men's physique poses are kind of boring. I mean, when guys train, they want to show off the muscles they train, and standing relaxed is really not a good way to show off what you've just built in the gym. So, of course, he's hitting bodybuilding poses. Do I think Sadiq will go to men's bodybuilding? Absolutely not. He will not do that. I do think, however, if they do come out with a new division, as we speculated on Iron Debate with J.M. Mannion last week, I think that Sadiq would be ripe for the picking. He could certainly step into that position as the classic men's bodybuilding champion because he does look great in poses as well as standing there. He could do it all, and I think that's why he's showing it off. It's making himself more marketable, more appealing to other people. Guys see that he trains hard like a bodybuilder, he can hit the poses, and he can hold his own. And I think that says a lot about him.
Let's go to the Muscle Central forum on rxmuscle.com. Dave, this question is from Black Taboo. Let me start by emphasizing that I hate this show. I like how he emphasized hate. Good job. My question is, given the current physiques in bodybuilding, how do you think the top four, this is a good question, how do you think the top 4 Olympia guys, Phil, Kai, Roden, Wolf, would fare against the top 6 guys of the Olympia in the 90s and early 2000s?
That's a good question. Would anyone beat Dorian and Ronnie Coleman in that lineup today? No, absolutely not. Would anyone beat Jay Cutler, who was coming in second to Coleman, and Flex Wheeler and Kevin Levrone, who was coming in second to Dorian? No. So that says a lot right there. The top, 3 guys in the 90s could beat everyone of today, including Phil Heath. So Flex Wheeler today is Mr. Olympia. Kevin Levrone today is Mr. Olympia. I think you even have to say Nasser El Sambadi today is Mr. Olympia. And so to answer the question, the 90s guys were way better.
Let's go to our Facebook page, the official rxmuscle.com Facebook page. This question from a good friend of the show, Wayne Crandell. Big Dave, what are your thoughts on training styles? I hear a lot lately about heavy days and light days, fiber-specific training, FST7. There are so many. What do you think is the best?
Yes, that's my answer. I always give the same answer. You know why? Because while I'll sit here all day and I'll debate you on diet and what works best, I won't do that on working out because personally, I always felt that high-intensity training, heavy weight, less sets, worked best for my body, okay? And I think it will work for anyone's body to a certain degree. But I also think that changing up your training and shocking your body works really well too. So even though I predominantly trained heavy with low sets, every once in a while I would shock my body. I would do supersets. I would do giant sets. I would do an extended workout. I might double up one week and do a body part twice a week. Every once in a while, not a lot, because I think all the styles have their, merit. Do I think that, there's some secret style out there like this FST7 because it engorges blood into the muscle? Is it build muscle better? No. I think you have to lift heavy weights in the gym and break down the muscle if you want to build muscle. That's the bottom line. How many sets you do it in is variable, and it's very variable to your genetics and to what your body can accept and not accept in terms of recovery. You're only as good, and you'll only build muscle as good as your body can recover from the workout.
We go to the Livestream chat box, livestream.com, and say hello to Jig420. Dave, how does AquaLies by Species Nutrition, stack up against Diazide for last day contest prep?
I'll tell you something. A lot of people ask me about AquaLies, and I formulated that a number of years ago. And a lot of people use it for contest prep. A lot of people use it for photo shoots. And the thing that I always warn everyone is it's really strong. So you could really dehydrate yourself, especially over a number of days on this stuff. So you can't look at it as, well, this is just an herbal, product that it's not going to work that well. It works. The difference is that Diazide and prescription diuretics work fast. Okay, so a lot of times, a lot of competitors would rather get rid of the water quickly than have to take a couple days to get rid of the water. And then really, the prescription ones are a little more precise. Once again, the longer you're on diuretics, the drier you get, but you also can flatten out a lot. So to me, I like short usages of diuretics, pre-contest. So to me, like a Diazide, for maybe a couple doses, the day before and the day of the show, that might be enough. If you don't have access to that, I have a lot of people use AquaLies 2 pills a day with 2 pills with each meal the day before and the day of the show, and that works terrific as well. You just got to take a little bit more.
Dave, let's go back to our Instagram page. Against our Instagram handle is @official_RX Muscle. This question from Farabi_K. Hi, Dave. I'm 27 years old, and I've been training naturally for 7 years now. I really want to compete in men's physique, but I don't have this size to compete. I'm 5'8", same height as Mr. Olympia Jeremy Buendia. When I'm really lean, I'm only 60 kilograms, 125 pounds, which is really small. I just want to know, do I have to take many drugs in order to compete in men's physique? Is there a safe way?
Do men's physique competitors take drugs? Absolutely. Do you need to be a good men's physique competitor? I don't think so. I really believe that, if you, assuming you have good genetics, where you can put where you could add muscle, some guys have very fast metabolisms. I think that if you put it together, a scientifically structured program, that you can compete naturally and do well. And I think there are guys out there that are competing naturally and doing well. Because I know bodybuilders that are natural that probably can switch into men's physique and do very well. So, yeah, I think that division is more attainable. But that doesn't mean that all the guys are natural, So don't mistake what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if you're a natural bodybuilder and you say to yourself, I don't want to use anabolic steroids, where should I go? Well, go to the men's physique division. I think that is a very attainable look. And if you train hard and you eat well and you diet right, then I think you could definitely compete on that level. Now, having said that, so before I go to the next question, I want to just say, we do Ask Dave, every week now, and I answer questions selflessly. We don't want any money or remuneration, nothing. I do this for the love of the sport, and I do this because I feel that knowledge should be put out there. And all I ask for you guys is, go to our Facebook page, go to the RX Muscle official Facebook page, like us. Go to our official Instagram page, like us, follow us. You know what I mean? Show your support. That's all I ask, and I will continue to do these shows and put my time and effort, and Sid will put his time and effort. Johnny Styles will do it, because that's what this is all about. We want to give back to the industry. Just show your support to us so that we know that people are out there and they're watching and they really like what we're doing.
You're watching Ask Dave, sponsored by Species Nutrition on RxMuscle.com. Dave, we now go to our Twitter feed. This question from @Matt365. Dave, you saw Julianne Malakharni for Bros vs. Pros. She just happened to be at the Autumn Gym where we had Bros vs. Pros. Really a coincidence. What was your opinion on how she looked?
I thought she looked great. She said she was 120 pounds, which is the lightest she's ever been and the lightest she's ever competed, even less than the Olympia. And the funny thing is, people think that she's huge. She's smaller than the figure competitors. Heather Dees, who's a Species Nutrition athlete, outweighs her by 15, 17, almost 17 pounds. And she's competing in pro figure. Now, Julianne is a little on the short side, but I think that Julianne's physique is so wonderful because it's all an illusion. You see her up close, and she's got a great body, but she's not overwhelming. She looks very attainable. It's something that you can really appreciate. And I think that she's done her homework. I look at people's faces. When the face looks drawn and gaunt, I know the person's suffering. Julianne is suffering, and I know she wants to defend her Olympia title and beat Dana more than anything. And I don't think anyone's touching her at this show. That's my prediction.
Let's go back to the live stream, live chat box. Dave, Joe Cristiano, any chance of getting Bill or Sean Phillips on Heavy Muscle Radio? Would love to hear stories about how they built the company and Muscle Media Mag, one of the best when they started.
I had Sean Phillips on the radio a number of years back. It was a great interview. Maybe I'll get him back on again because you know what? He was good, and like I said, I probably a lot of people saw on Facebook. People were asking who I thought my inspiration was, and I said Bill Phillips because I saw him starting Muscle Media 2000. He had his own supplement line. He first marketed Metrics, and that's a guy I kind of looked up to from a business standard, a business perspective, and what he did and the passion he put into it. And I know he spent hours and hours and hours working. I can relate to that. And Bill is really kind of, no one sees him. He's very like aloof. I don't think we can get Bill on. I could try, but definitely Sean would be a great guest. Maybe we could even get him on Heavy Muscle TV to Skype and live, because he is really entertaining and he knows all the gossip of what went on back in the 90s.
We'll stick with the live stream, live chat box. This next question from Tom Ramsey. I recently heard that long ester steroids build muscle much more effectively. Is this true? I would expect once blood levels are up, the result will be the same.
Well, you got to remember, short-acting anabolics, whether they be oral or injectable, because they're short-acting, they're usually not in the body for that long. So let's say, for instance, you took 2 shots a week, okay, 2 injections a week. The short-acting esters would start to wear off much, much quicker, and so there might be a day or two that you have nothing in your body. Unless you're taking a shot every single day, which most people are not going to do. The long-acting esters are always in there, and they have overlap. And I find that consistent blood levels yield better results. That's just my experience. Also, a lot of people complain about side effects of bloating and acne breakouts. You don't really get that with long-acting esters as much, and you would think you'd get more, but the truth is that when your blood levels are more consistent, okay, you don't have that up and downness, you don't get the side effects. The side effects are really from the erraticness of the blood levels. Now, a lot of women use orals, and in women, because they use orals, they're not in their system all the time. That's better for them because they get less side effects. So for women, it's better to have short-acting esters. Men, long-acting ones are always preferred.
Dave, we go back to our Twitter feed. This one from @Knuckles718. I love that one. Dave, I'm reading rumors that you might have Triple H at the Species booth some point during the Arnold. True or false?
Well, Triple H and I talked the other night, because I'm doing his diet for WrestleMania, and he is going to be at the Arnold Classic the whole weekend, because the WWE is doing a WWE experience at the Arnold. What that means is, not only that, is Triple H is also being inducted into the Bob Goldman International Sports Hall of Fame, which will be live streaming. We did it last year, we'll be doing it this year, and obviously I'll be interviewing him there. But he will be running this WWE experience where they're going to actually be bringing developmental teams in and running them through drills up on the main stage at the Expo. And I know that also Triple H will be interviewing Arnold there. So we are invited to come up there and see that. I don't know if we'll be at men's prejudging or not, but Triple H did say he would come by the Species Nutrition booth. We haven't set up an official time. I will try to find out when he will have some time to stop by. He did stop by last year. I wasn't even there when he came by, believe it or not. But I'm going to see if he'll come by, maybe sign a few pictures, take some pictures with the fans, and I will release that when the time comes.
We actually just got a really, really good question about the Arnold Festival. We're going to save this one, Dave, till the end. We go to Stephen McGowan. Hi, Dave. This show is awful as always. What's your opinion with the WOW method of training, otherwise known as German volume training? Would you recommend it for those on a cut?
I don't like any kind of volume training when you're leaning out. I worry about muscle loss. Guys that tend to be endomorphic, who put muscle on easy, lose fat difficultly, tend to do good on volume training systems, because you can't overtrain those guys. They just, they need to be worked hard. Most guys, if you have a mesomorphic to ectomorphic, where you're really fast metabolism, those volume systems will eat your muscle alive. I know it used to happen to me all the time. I know it would happen to Juan Morel a lot. So you got to watch volume training when you have a fast metabolism. If you don't have a fast metabolism, you can kind of do what you want, and get away with it. But like I said, I never was a volume training guy. I always felt that recovery was paramount. If you stimulate the muscle with heavy weights, that breaks down the maximum amount of fibers, and that's the stimulus for growth. After that, more and more volume is not doing anything but just making it harder to recover, raising your catabolic hormones, cortisol levels. I just never saw good results from excessive amounts of sets.
David, go back now to our Facebook page with Bob Sanders. Dave, it seems as if getting an IFBB Pro card is much easier these days. What is your opinion on the Pro cards, the way that it's being given out now as compared to maybe 15 years ago?
I don't think it's easier because there's more people competing this time around. I mean, think about how many men's physique guys there are. So proportionately, the pro cards might be the same. It seems easier. Now, in the men's bodybuilding division, I think it got a little easier because they're giving first and second place pro cards at the Nationals. The Masters, they give out 1 million pro cards. I think in the men's division aspect, it is a little easier, but I don't think it's that easy in men's physique. If you think about how many men's physique competitors were at nationals and figure out the proportion of pro cards, it wasn't that much. So I think the sport is growing. I think that's a good thing. I don't think they should be giving second place pro cards to anyone, and I know they do that in women's physique and they do that in figures. I just think that unless you win your class at least, that should be the requirement for pro status.
Go back to our Twitter feed now. Reggie560. Dave at the Arnold. Is it Dexter, Cedric, ... everyone else?
I don't think so. I think it's Cedric, Justin Compton, Dexter, Rudy Winklaar, Evan Centopani. And it's still not ... There's a lot of good guys in the lineup, and I think that if history tells us anything, invariably some of those top guys are not going to be in shape, and they're going to be much further down than we suspect. And some guys that we didn't suspect to be at their best are going to be unbelievable, and they're going to shock everyone. So I think it's Cedric's show to lose. I think Dexter Jackson is the most dangerous guy in the lineup, meaning that if everyone else is not perfect, he comes in and easily wins. And I think that Justin Compton's the wild card in the sense that, he was so dominant last year. It'll be interesting to see how he looks against these other guys. But I don't think Dexter can beat him if Justin's at his best. And I don't think that Compton can beat Cedric if Cedric's at his best. So having said that, once again, I think it's Cedric's show to lose.
Well, Dave, we have gotten a few questions for previous episodes we did about Rudy Winklaar that we have not been able to get on. Many fans have wondered, you mentioned Justin Compton as a wild card. What are your thoughts on Rudy Winklaar, who's been sort of at the precipice of being a wild card for the last couple of years?
Well, Rudy Winklaar's hardly a wild card. He has to be considered a favorite. At the Olympia this past year, he came in a little too big, and he looked a little blocky at the waist, and his shape didn't look that great. As the Grand Prix went on, he got a little tighter and better. I think in Dubai, I believe he was really good. And so, I think that Rudy is very dangerous. I don't know if he got too big for his own good and ruined his shape, or if he comes in a little drier and harder, maybe not as carved up for this show. There was a good burp. Can he actually win? That's the question, because he's got the size. He gets freaky hard. He's got some of the best set of arms in the business. He's a very dangerous guy. He's the guy that, you forget about. He comes in at his best. Everyone else is a little off. And before you know it, Rudy Winklaar's the champ.
Dave, we go back to the Livestream live chat box. Again, if you want to ask a question on this show, you can join us on livestream.com and ask questions in the live chat box. You can tweet using hashtag AskDave. You can join us on the rxmuscle.com Muscle Central Forum. If you're not already a member, it is free to register. Our official Facebook page and our official Instagram page. This question from Old School. Good movie. Did you consider a comeback after you got out of jail? I've seen some pictures from you after you got out. You still look great. What are your thoughts on that?
Never considered the comeback, ever. Never even crossed my mind, not one time yet. And I'll tell you why. Because I always said to myself that I would compete until I felt that I couldn't make improvements and be better than I was the year before. And in 2004, I felt that was the pinnacle of what I could look like. I didn't think that I could make improvements, given the fact that I had bad my shoulders arthritis was getting pretty bad. I felt that I had maxed out my frame and the amount of muscle I could hold, the conditioning that I can come in, and I didn't think I could be better. So because I didn't think I could be better, I felt like that was the time that the universe said to me, it's time to call it quits, move on to something else. Obviously, I still continue to train and I eat right, and because I love the lifestyle. But there was no sense in pushing my body to bigger and bigger, I guess you could say, sizes and proportions, because it was only going to jeopardize my health at that point. And I had nothing to prove anymore. I proved as much as I needed to myself. I established myself as what I wanted to be, one of the biggest guys, one of the hardest, grainiest looking guys. And I got some great photo shoots to show it off. Per Banal, obviously over at Muscle Development at the time, took some great pictures of me. And I still stare at those and say, that was me.
You're watching SD, sponsored by Species Nutrition on rxmuscle.com. We go now back to the live stream chat box. This question from Animal Dub. Got some great names out there tonight. I have a question regarding going on nights out clubbing. You say just drink water if you go out. That's fine. What I was wondering is how or where do you get your meals in during the night out?
Well, when I was in the midst of bodybuilding, hardcore, where I was trying to grow and establish myself as something of a phenomenon, I guess you could say, I never went out. So if you're really serious about bodybuilding, you want to be your best, aside from special occasion here and there, you shouldn't really be going out, because that's going to set you back if you're going to miss meals. But having said that, I used to see Victor Martinez out when I did go out later in my, right toward the end of my career. And Victor would bring shakes with him. He had bartenders making him shakes. He'd have bars in his pockets. I used to carry bars in my pockets when I used to bounce. And, you could do it if you want to. You got to just really prepare. Obviously it's not so easy to bring a shake with you unless you know the bartender like Victor did. That's how he was a regular. But you could always stuff bars in your pocket. Now, if you're dieting for a show, you should not be going out, because you have a certain energy requirement. You have a certain dietary requirement. That's something that you can't kind of fudge. But like I said, if you want to go out for the night and you want to go out with a few friends and you're not going to go crazy and drink like a fish, bring bars. Those work. Quest bars are great. There's a whole bunch of different new bars on the market now that you could probably put into your pocket very easily. I used to get the big cargo pants and stuff them in the legs, so that the bouncers wouldn't bother me when I came into the club.
As you see on the bottom of your screen, Species Nutrition, we're going to be at the Arnold Sports Festival. Hard to believe it is 1 week away. We are going to be at booth 709, and on Sunday of the Arnold Sports Festival, we are going to have a live version of Ask Dave. We are going to have a microphone, speaker system, so you're going to get a chance to grab the mic, ask the question to Dave in front of the crowd at the Species Nutrition booth. And, of course, for RxMuscle.com, we're going to have a live preview show Thursday night, and then we're going to have wall-to-wall coverage, interviews throughout the weekend. You're not going to want to miss that. Keep it locked to RxMuscle.com. Back to the questions. This one from H2 Hard. Hey, Dave, for your diet, instead of all-natural peanut butter, can I just take fish oil caps? If so, how much?
You see, you can't substitute one for the other. Fish oil and evening primrose oil, your omega-3s and 6s, are what we call your essential fatty acids or polyunsaturates. You don't need a ton of those. You need about 3 grams of each a day. Okay, so you could take that in pill form, you could eat it in food form, whatever. But, like all natural peanut butter, macadamia nut oil, those type of fats, those you want to take in what we call macro amounts. Those are going to be your voluminous amounts of fats. And so you can't just take all fish oil all day long, because first of all, you're going to throw your balance of omega-3s to 6s off, which is something you don't want to do. Secondly, too much fish oil becomes anti-inflammatory, and that's not good either for the bodybuilder who's trying to build muscle. So I would balance your oil intake and your fat intake by taking different sources. And once again, your monounsaturates should be your highest amount of fats you take in from your olive oils, your macadamia nut, all your nut oils essentially are pretty good. You can fit into that category, even though the macadamia nut oil is way higher in monos than, say, like walnut oil, which is a higher polyunsaturated. Personally, I like nuts. I like whole eggs. I like mac oil, olive oil for the majority of the fats. Because if you eat a piece of salmon, let's face it, there is fish oil in there, but it's majority protein, the salmon you're eating, okay? So that's how I balance it off. Don't eat just one type of fat. Spread it out, vary it, just like you do with your protein sources.
Dave, this next question from Tom Ramsey. Any news on your probiotic species product?
I don't know if I'm going to come out. I've changed my mind. I don't think I'm going to come out with a probiotic per se, just alone. I have I don't even want to give away the idea, but I have a secret little project going on that's going to be, it's going to be a combination product, and it's going to be something that I think people are going to like, and it's going to be easy to eat, okay, so to speak. So stay tuned. I'm working on it. I promise you.
Time for a couple of more questions. This one from Mr. O. Maybe the Mr. O. Hi, Dave. Is it true that EQ and Deca are not interchangeable?
Well, I mean, interchangeable implies that you can use one or the other and get similar effects. And in that case, I think that they probably are, because I think that they're both very highly anabolic, moderately androgenic, compounds that help build muscle relatively easily, and they increase appetite, and I think they have a similar effect. So I would say they are interchangeable. Are they the same drug in the sense that they do the same thing? Absolutely not. So they're not interchangeable in the sense that they're the same drug, but they do have similar effects. Obviously, the Deca is a 19-nortestosterone derivative, whereas Equipoise is a boldenone derivative, which is more of a less a testosterone derivative. So they're different drugs, but they do accomplish very similar, outcomes.
Got a good one right here, Dave. This one is about energy drinks, Gatorade, Powerade. For playing sports, do you suggest those or water?
I like coconut water, and I've said this before. I think coconut water has the best distribution of metabolites and electrolytes, sodium, potassium. I like to sip that when especially if I was back in my soccer days, I would be drinking coconut water. Obviously, water is the best, but you know what? When you start getting a little crampy, when it gets hot out and you start sweating a lot out, rather than drinking, sugared Gatorade, the sugar in coconut water is natural, and it's blended with the perfect balance of electrolytes. I would use that.
George M says he's been using Testosterone for the past 2 weeks, wondering what the best time of the day to take it. Also, it says take 2-3 capsules a day. How should I go about deciding between 2 or 3?
Well, it's 2 or 3 capsules 2 times a day. AquaLies is my species nutrition testosterone booster. What it does is it blocks estrogen production, it blocks DHT production, and it raises testosterone. So it does 3 things, really, accomplishing the same goal, which is to get your natural testosterone level high. Usually the recommended dose is 3 pills twice a day, 6 pills total per day, and you got a month's supply in the bottle. I would take 3 in the morning. With breakfast, I take 3 before bed. That's how I would break it up.
Frank Peters, Dave, asked, just wondering if a keto diet is something a strongman competitor should use to drop a weight class. I'm currently 290 with minus 22% BF, looking to drop to about 250 or maybe less if training is going well.
I know Derek Poundstone for a while was using a ketogenic diet. So the good thing about a ketogenic diet is that it doesn't really reduce your strength. But what it does do, it might reduce your endurance, okay? So you might not be able to train as long. But for powerlifting type and strongman type events, you don't really have to exert that much effort for that long a period of time. So to drop down to a weight class, it might be a really good diet because protein and fat will make sure that you repair muscle adequately. You'll feel strong still on the stuff. You just got to watch your endurance. Once you start throwing in a lot of endurance type stuff, whether you're doing cardio or you're running or doing stuff like that, then you might have a little bit more of a problem. But once you drop the weight, then you can always add the carbs back in toward the end and regain the stamina you lost, yet still be at a lower weight class and having not sacrificed any muscle.
You're watching Ask Dave on RxMuscle.com, brought to you by, as always, by Species Nutrition. You can visit speciesnutrition.com. Once again, on the lower part of your screen, you see we're going to be at the Arnold Sports Festival in 1 week. We are going to be at booth 709 Sunday. Time to be determined. We are going to have a live version of Ask Dave from the Species Nutrition booth. And speaking of Arnold, Dave, this brings us to our final question, and you may want to give a few seconds to think about this. This question is from C. Para. If you could ask Arnold 3 questions, what would they be?
See, I don't want to give you the answer, because if I give you the answer, then I blow it, because I don't want Arnold to know what I'm going to ask him. I know I'm going to get the interview with him one of these days. He's not going to have a meatball hanging out of his mouth, and I'm going to actually be able to ask him some questions. One of the questions I would ask him is, if you were interviewing someone, Arnold, what would you ask yourself? Because he probably knows things that would be interesting for him to reveal that no one's actually ever asked him. So that would be my first question to him. The other questions I'm holding in abeyance, because I don't want anyone to know what I really want to ask him. Because if Arnold hears it somehow, he might be ready. I don't want him to I don't want him to be ready for my answers. I want him to be shocked by my questions. The problem is, and I've interviewed some famous people before, you can't get nervous, because once you start getting a little nervous and they run the interview, you never wind up asking him the questions you want to ask. One of the people I always wanted to interview was Jason Statham, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. I believe it was last year or the year before that. And I finally got to interview him, and I wanted to ask him, because there was a great line in the movie, The Transporter, and the line was, you could tell a lot by a man from the way he keeps his car. And I always wanted to ask him if he kept his car, neat, and how he did keep his car, because of that. I wanted to see if that he was just acting or if that was really the way he was in real life. And his answer to me was, my car is really not that nice looking, to be honest with you. And somehow we lost the interview, and it never got to go up. So it was my crowning jewel. I had the question prepared, and I hit him with the question. It was original, and he actually laughed, and he liked the question. So I'll always have my Arnold questions in the back of my head ready to go in case Arnold ever comes up to me and says, all right, I let you interview me. But we'll see. Maybe this year when I'm up on stage with Triple H, because Triple H is going to be interviewing Arnold. Maybe he'll let me ask Arnold one question, in which case I should probably make sure I have my question ready to go.
We actually have one more question.
One more thing, Sid, also I want to say. The new speciesnutrition.com website has officially launched today. We're still tweaking here and there, but it's all up. If you guys are not sure what supplements you want to use or you should be using, we have a great supplement finder that I know you and I built, Sid, where we actually put together whether you're a male or female, beginner or advanced, you want to lose fat, gain fat, and we'll tell you what supplements that you should be taking, what stacks, how to take them. Check out the new speciesnutrition.com website. I think you guys are going to love it.
We do have one more, Dave. This one from Tony M. Dave, Steve Blackman talks about the intake of fats blocking prostaglandin production, certain fats, not all fats. Now, I know you're familiar with how powerful prostaglandins are in terms of both protein synthesis and lipolysis. Tell me why you don't think that eliminating all intake of anti-inflammatory fats isn't a good idea for building muscle.
First of all, prostaglandins are made from fat. So you need to take in the right amount of fats to produce some of these prostaglandins. And most of these fatty acids, these essential fatty acids, are the precursors to the prostaglandins. Now, if you take in just one type of fat and you don't take the other type of fat in, you can throw the ratio of these prostaglandins off, and that could affect muscle building. But you know what the truth is? Most of us take in so many of the pro-inflammatory, the ones that cause inflammation in the body, fats, in the way of chicken, red meat, whole eggs. They just have these what we call arachidonic acid, residues in there already. These fatty acids are there, and you can't stop those unless you're on a completely vegan diet, which no bodybuilder is. Having said that, that's why we really need to focus on the anti-inflammatory prostaglandins, or fats like the fish oils, the monounsaturated fats, because these will give your body the precursors of the stuff we're not taking in our diet. Once again, it's about balance. We want the right types of fat to be in the correct ratios so that we can maximize muscle building, maximize fat loss, and make sure we have good health. Because if you don't have good health, you got nothing.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ask Dave. Again, as Dave mentioned, the new speciesnutrition.com is now live. Go check it out. Let us know what you think. Again, we do this for you. And of course, rxmuscle.com, wall-to-wall coverage of the Arnold Sports Festival next week. Reminder, tomorrow night, Fitness View meets the Iron Debate. You're not going to want to miss this. Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard, and then Monday night at 8, Arnold preview show, a special episode of Heavy Muscle TV. Have a good night.